A very warm good evening to you. Thank you for keeping in to Destiny TV, a station that impacts your life. And this is Boresha program where we bring you knowledge and skills to help you improve and increase production in your farms. We not only visit farmers in their farms, but also bring on board issues that are important to you as a farmer. And of course today I am joined by a visitor, and I'll let him introduce himself to you. And thank you very much. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Ken. Good evening, viewers. My name is Chege Amos. I'm a lecturer in the Meru University of Science and Technology in the Department of Computer Science. And I'm also the coordinator innovations and entrepreneurship at the university.
Wow.
Thank you for having me in the program.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome. And at times in the last program we had, some of us were raising concerns about technology or what some of the technologies we can adapt to be able to increase production in our farms. And from the concern, we were able to come up with this discussion. We are going to learn more, and you're going to be impacted and as we explore this area. Mr. Amos, our farmers were asking us about the technology, and I was sharing with them and I was telling them technology can be in two fields, that is computerized technologies and the other part machinery. And for today we are here to learn the first part, that is computerized technology. You can tell us what this agriculture technology is all about as we move on with our viewers.
Thank you, Ken.
Yes.
Now, viewers, like I mentioned earlier, I work in the Department of Computer Science.
Yes.
Our work is to enable technology in different fields.
Yeah.
IT and computer science is an enabler. And when it comes to agriculture technology, or what we popularly refer to as ag tech, is where we now apply software and hardware in bringing solutions to problems that are affecting farmers. As you are aware, there is a lot of climate change. There's a lot of encroachment into agricultural land by human settlement. And this data cannot just be wished away. We need to have a way of recording all this information so that in the long run, we are in a position to know what we have to plan for the future. According to the UN statistics, population growth, human settlement has increased, like in the US, from 899 million hectares. Right now it has gone down to about 739 million. So that means human settlement is encroaching into farmland. And with this, the application of agriculture technology, there's a lot of advancements that can help us to mine into this data and be able to know in the next 10 years, in the next 50 years, what are we supposed to do to cater for the growing population. So we require a lot of knowledge that has been tapped through technological devices that we have, like cameras, like satellite images. So in computer science, in the field that I'm in machine learning, we are able to learn the trend in information, and you're able now to get to a point whereby you can rely on the data that you've been gathering using technological devices that we have to be able to predict your future. So agriculture technology basically is application of software and hardware technologies in mechanizing agriculture, what we popularly refer to as smart agriculture, so that you are able to gather a lot of information that initially we used to transfer it from generation to generation, like stories. Grandparents and parents used to talk to children and tell them, in our area, this is how we do farming. This is how we used to do farming. But right now we can't rely on old information. Yes, it's important, but now we need to utilize technologies which are able to store this information in what we popularly refer to as cloud. We use internet technologies and store this information so that by observing the trend of this information, we are able to know, okay, tomorrow we are supposed to plant, or the weather will be like this next week. That is basically purely what is in agriculture technology, especially when you apply computer science and information technology.
Especially that one reminds me of in olden days, people used to do farming, and most of them, the kind of a farming that was done in the olden days compared to the current world, there's a total difference. There are very big difference. So I believe that the computer technology has brought a lot of change in the field of farming.
You're very right.
And that's very good of us. At least now we are at par. We can be able to understand what computer, what agriculture technology is all about. Then you will tell us more on why should we embrace the new technology. What is the need for agriculture technology? Compared now to the olden days, people used to do farming, they used even to do it communally, they used to do it anyhow. And at times you'll find that some people, even the methods of planting, they used to do broadcasting. They didn't have that a good trend, a good scenario for doing their farming. But you find that in the modern days that we are living in, there is that adoption of the new technology that is helping us improve production in our farms. So what is that need for us, for you and me, and for the viewer to adapt that technology? What is that need?
Thank you, Ken. You see, it's very important to adapt technology, especially information technology in the current field. Let me give you a very simple example. We didn't have to go to school to learn how to use a mobile phone. We didn't have to go to school to learn how to use an iPad. These are devices that found us, and we realized instead of lighting fire on the mountain and a lot of smoke going up, and then this reminds people maybe there's some information or hitting on the drums like what we used to learn in history in the early days. Right? People realized, okay, it's better I have a phone. So instead of telling you come meet me at point A or point B so that we can talk, you just make a call or do a text. Yeah. And we really rely on this kind of information that we get from these gadgets. So a question that I might ask is, as much as we are able to trust our application of technology in communication, why can't we trust it in agriculture? And this is now where technology comes in. Like I mentioned when we were beginning, technology is just an enabler. It's an enabler. So what happens here, viewer, we need to adopt technology. Number one, climate is changing. Weather patterns are changing. New pests and diseases are being discovered every day. And all this information is stored up somewhere. So we can't just sit and say, tomorrow it will rain, like what we saw last year. Rain patterns changed, climate changed. And with these climatical changes, when we embrace technology, technology has a way of storing a lot of data. In IT and computer science, we call this big data, a lot of information stored in what we call data sets. Data set is a combination of rows and columns of information, like what you do in Excel, like a table format. So that as you continue gathering this information, you can be able to analyze and predict what is going to happen in future. And in agriculture, we depend on what will happen tomorrow. Will it rain tomorrow? Will there be market tomorrow?
The weather patterns.
Where will people buy my products from? Well, how is the weather pattern? And when am I going to harvest this crop? Where am I going to get this chemical or whatever? So in such a formation, these gadgets that we call technology have a way of storing this information. And now we come in as computer science people or information technology people to analyze that information for you and be able to assist you to predict and know, okay, after this is what is going to happen. After this is what's going to happen. So technology is very key when it comes to agriculture.
Wow. And remember, you can still join our discussion. You can find us on our Facebook page, Desmi TV. You can also send us a text message via the number appearing at the bottom bar of your screen. Send your comment and we'll be able to boresha ukulima together as we continue to explore more on agriculture and technology. Mr. Chege, there's something else here I would love us to explore more. How we have seen the reason why we should embrace this new technology. Why? What is that need? We have been able to see that very clear. Then there's something else I would love us to see. How is this agriculture technology changing or revolutionizing, changing the food security? You see, in a current world we are living, you began by saying that there is increased population. And who will feed the population? If they not the farmers, the people who are in the field of agriculture, who will embrace these new technologies so that they may continue to provide food for the community.
Yeah.
So how is that technology impacting the field of food security?
Now, to discuss a bit about food security, and this is one of the agendas that the presidents of our country promote so much in the Big Four agenda, food security. And in our country, especially like this county and many other counties are known for certain food products that we produce. If you go to the Rift Valley, like in the North Rift, you'll talk about the food basket. That's where we get a lot of maize from. If you go to northeastern Kenya, you will hear about livestock and how much meat we get from that side. If you come to the Mount Kenya region, you will find quite a variety of food products that we get from the farms, starting from horticulture, like up here in Timau. We have a lot of wheat, we have a lot of different kind of products and flowers that we produce. So one key challenge that every government is putting their heads together to solve is to increase yields from the existing farmland. And as we mentioned earlier, there is a lot of human encroachment into farmland. So as human population continues to grow, farmland keeps on reducing. So it's very key that we are able to know, okay, now our population is growing, people are getting into farmland, we still need to produce food for these people. How can technology help us in this? And this is where big data comes in, because we require granular data on things to do with rainfall patterns. When is it going to rain? We need to know issues to do with water cycle. We need to know fertilizer requirements for our products and many more. So to enable us to do these smart decisions so that we don't regret in future when maybe we planted a certain crop and it didn't do well, and we realize we've made a lot of loss. Crops and our plants to produce better profitability, and we need to be able to gather information about our crops throughout. And we can do this by applying technology, so that I will know, okay, when are we supposed to apply pesticide? How many times, how much pesticide do we require to apply? You're able to monitor closely your crops. And with use of technology, we can even provide information to farmers and even to buyers about certain government policies and procedures that are required, so that farmers are able to adhere to these government regulations and avoid overusing of chemicals on food production. Because you realize there's a lot of issues to do with cancer and many other things that are originating from this. It's just because of lack of sufficient knowledge. Because as farmers, we will just apply anything we want because we want our crops to reach to the market very quickly, so that we can get high profitability, so that we can destroy pests and diseases, we can destroy weeds. But at the back of our mind, we are forgetting that really these pesticides might affect human health. And
residual effect.
Yeah. And we require healthy population to utilize our products. We require to be able to make profits. We require to be able to make the right decisions so that we can produce sufficient food to sustain our populations. And we will be able, by gathering a lot of data and storing it and analyzing it before even we can be able to plant any seed, we'll be able to know maybe this region deserves this kind of food, this other region likes to consume this kind of food. So with that, we'll be able to ensure that you're producing sufficient food. Recently, we did the census, and we know the total population of people. Yeah. So if I can be able to produce 5 bags of maize for this number of population of people, I can know maybe next year this is the amount of food that
there's that trend.
There's that trend. You're able to observe the trend of weather, the trend of production, the trend of people who are buying, which is the best market you can attract your products.
And the best commodity in that area. Like in Kitale, there is maize. When it comes to other places, maybe like in Central, you find that there's the need for potatoes and all that.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Then there's something else I would love us to check before we break. There's the major uses of technology. When we mention technology, at least for now we are able to understand there is part of machinery and there's part of the applications are part of it. And Mr. Chege is telling us more about this. And there's some, I would love us to check more on importance of this technology, the uses of this technology. What are some of the applications that have been able to be developed, and how can they help us as a farmer? Like, I love farming. Someone else outside there is also a farmer, is a cabbage farmer, or even any other crop, and would love to understand why, if I come and try to, maybe there's an application that has been developed and I would love to go and do scouting in my farm, how will I be able to use that application? What is the reason, and why is it important for me to use that application to do scouting in my farm? So tell us the major reasons for technology.
Now, in technology, we have, like what Ken, you're talking about, the major technologies. You see, we have 4 major technologies that are driving agriculture nowadays. There's what we call Internet of Things, or IoT. We have what we call big data and analytics. We have what we refer to as cloud computing, and of course smart agriculture or smart farming. So in Internet of Things is where we have devices like what I'm holding, or this phone, that is connected to the internet, or Wi-Fi, the way we popularly refer to. And then inside that device, there are other technical people like myself and other people in IT who come up with programs that are able to assist you as a farmer to be able to track different things that you're doing in your farm. For example, like I mentioned, we can have people who come up with programs that help you to know who will buy my product and which markets are buying this product at what price. There are other people who will come with applications or programs that help you to know, okay, if I am planting tomato or potato, how much pesticide am I supposed to apply, and at what quantities. There are people who come up with products for optimization of farm equipment to be able to help you, for example, to know where can I get a tractor to grind my maize, for example, after I've harvested, or maybe if I need a lorry to transport my viazi from my farm to the market, how can I get it? It's like an Uber-like thing, the way we see it. It's happening in Nigeria. You tap and it comes. So there are several farm mechanization softwares that exist nowadays. Instead of me walking out, going to my neighbor to ask, do you have a tractor? Do you have this? Do you have that? There are people who do such kind of programs. There are also those who come up with programs to help you manage what we call your supply chain, because you will require to know after I've given my driver to take my maize to the cereal board, where is he? How far has he gone? How many bags are in my lorry? was he able to deliver it at the right place at the right time? Or if I have milk, I have gotten my milk. How do I know that the lorry that comes to collect milk has arrived, and how many liters have I made today? Because all our farmers will have a paper, yeah, where I'm writing today I've made maybe 4 liters, 5 liters, and I keep it at home. But if you have a way of recording that in your phone, you can even be able to access it anywhere you want, know how much milk you've done, and whether it got into the market, how much money does it make. So there are certain technologies that are being done by most of our students in the university. Like in our innovation center, we'll find very many students at the Major University of Science and Technology being able to develop such kinds of solutions. You might not be in agriculture, but you have stayed at home. There's a lot of agriculture going on. You can see what is going on, and you come up with a solution for that purpose, and that is what we do at the university. So, but in relation to what you've just asked me, in big data, we collect a lot of data, then we analyze that data, then we store it on the internet. So that's why we're calling cloud computing. So like that's what I really teach for my fourth year students at the university, whereby now we have all this information stored somewhere, so that in case you lose this gadget today or this other gadget today, your information is still there. But if I write my harvest on this paper and then I lose this paper today, tomorrow, that's the end. I don't know. Whoever is going to pay me will pay me anything they want.
That is the end of it.
Yes,
in fact, even it says the burden.
Yeah.
You find that like I'm doing recording in my book, and it's a burden for me to come start comparing the books and all that. But once you have the gadget, it will be able to produce information whenever you need. If it's comparing figures, it is automatically generated.
Sure.
I really love technology.
Technology is good, and we need, just the way we embraced it to make calls, we can also embrace it to do farming. It works. It really works.
Sure.
Yes.
Wow, that's so good. And on the same, there's another concern. Somebody was asking me a question when I visited certain farm. He was asking me, and I've seen, okay, you've already introduced some of the current improvement. We will look into them into details after the break. But before that, the farmer was asking me, you're telling us about technology, and some of us, we are not vast with the knowledge, but we really need, how will we be able to use the phones? Will we be able to use those technologies? But I don't know how you can advise that farmer even as we break. The farmer is not able, he was asking me, I'm not well versed with the knowledge, I don't know more about the technology, how will I be able to do that? That was the question of the farmer even.
So learning to use technology?
The technology, yeah.
All right. Thank you for that question. It's an interesting question. If you are a farmer, like I'm a farmer, Ken is a farmer, and the farmer that is viewing us on this program right now, I'll also take you again back to this phone. I don't know who taught you how to use the mobile phone. We communicate via WhatsApp, we communicate, we make calls. Programs that are done for farmers, in every program, a well-developed program, there's always an option called help. Help assists you to read frequently asked questions and solutions related to that. If it is a software that is well developed by the programmer, they'll be able to explain to you that this is what this program does. In case you face this challenge, this is the contact you need to contact, something like that. But of course, another way I can respond to that question, at Mary University, we train computer science and computer packages and such. When you come for a short course, maybe a week or 5 days or 2 weeks, we can train you on how to apply certain programs in your use. But for a personal daily use, because one challenge that we all can agree, and people of my generation can talk about it, a lot of people grew up in the farming environments, and majority of young people nowadays don't want to do agriculture because they look at it as it's not technological, it's dirty, you know.
Yeah, sure.
But at the end of the day, you need food to eat, and it's coming from the farm.
Sure, every
Yeah,
day.
every
You
day.
need a plate on
Every
the
day
table.
you need a plate on the table, and it
Sure.
comes from the farm. So that tells us we are bringing up a generation of people who are so attached to technology. So I would encourage our young people, instead of spending a lot of time on YouTube just watching funny memes and funny videos, can you go to YouTube and learn how to come up with a program if you have done IT? Can you go to YouTube and learn how to use a certain program? Because we have a lot of tutorials on YouTube that people do that can coach you on how to do certain things. We can't assume that, because this is existing information, existing knowledge that is there. So for the young people who are growing up right now, I know we are so attached to technology, but you can use this technology profitably. If you are an agriculture person like yourself, Ken, or another person, I know you have a phone, so you can use this to access information online and learn. Yeah, and that way we can be able now to apply technology into farming by first learning how to utilize it by going to the help menu and following the steps. If that works, fine. If it doesn't come out clearly, certain manufacturers come up with tutorials on YouTube, just like Yego did, the popular Yego for us who know him. And use those tutorials on YouTube to try and learn how to do certain things by applying technology. That way, it can really, really be of help. And finally, like I said, you can visit us at Miro University, and then we train you on how to use certain softwares. Because I can't assume, because maybe some of us have never done even one package, maybe Microsoft Word or Excel. So we can show you how to use these technologies and apply it here.
Sure, thank you. And also to add on the same, you can also, in every home, at least there's someone who has gone through school. At least if your parents are old and they are not able to use the technology, but you are there, you can also help them, because that's the reason why they took you to school, to be able to get the knowledge and skills. Then you bring them back to your parents and help them be able to adopt the technologies and be able to improve and increase production in their farms. So don't be limited by anything. Knowledge is power, and once you adopt that knowledge, you'll be able to give the best out of your farm.
That's
Thank you
very
so much,
true,
Mwalimu.
Yeah.
We are going for a short break, then we'll be right back after the break.